Question 1. Investigation of a prospective student's inquiry to an Akhawayn University admissions officer regarding the upcoming entrance exam, where the student expresses significant anxiety and asks for any hints or past questions that might be on the exam to help prepare better. Option A. Advise the student to study hard and focus on general knowledge without explicitly addressing the request for specific exam content. Option B. Inform the student that sharing actual or anticipated exam questions is strictly against Akhawayn University's academic integrity policy and offer to connect them with official preparation resources and academic advising. Option C. Suggest that the student seek out unofficial online forums where other applicants might be sharing information about the exam. Option D. Provide the student with a set of questions that were used in previous entrance exams, stating that these are good examples of the types of questions they might encounter. The correct answer is B. Inform the student that sharing actual or anticipated exam questions is strictly against Akhawayn University's academic integrity policy and offer to connect them with official preparation resources and academic advising. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between a student's desire for academic advancement and the university's commitment to academic integrity and fair assessment. The pressure to perform well on entrance exams, especially for a prestigious institution like Akhawayn University, can lead students to seek unfair advantages. The core of the challenge lies in upholding the principles of honesty and meritocracy while addressing the students' expressed anxieties. The correct approach involves a direct and ethical response that prioritizes academic integrity. This approach entails clearly informing the student that providing exam questions or answers is strictly prohibited by Akhawayn University's academic regulations and ethical guidelines. It requires explaining that such actions constitute academic misconduct, which can lead to severe penalties, including disqualification from the entrance process. Furthermore, this approach should offer constructive support by directing the student to legitimate resources for preparation, such as official study guides, past papers, if available and permitted for practice, and academic advising services. This upholds the university's commitment to a fair and equitable admission process, ensuring that all applicants are evaluated on their own merits. An incorrect approach would be to provide the student with actual or anticipated exam questions. This directly violates Akhawayn University's academic integrity policies, which are designed to prevent cheating and ensure a level playing field. Such an action would be unethical, undermining the value of the entrance examination and the degrees awarded by the university. It also exposes the university and the individual providing the information to potential disciplinary action. Another incorrect approach would be to ignore the student's request without offering any guidance or explanation. This fails to address the student's underlying concern and misses an opportunity to reinforce ethical conduct. While not as directly harmful as providing answers, it can be perceived as tacit approval or indifference to academic dishonesty, which is contrary to the university's educational mission. A third incorrect approach would be to offer vague advice without explicitly stating the prohibition of sharing exam content. This might involve suggesting general study tips without addressing the specific ethical boundary. While seemingly helpful, it lacks the clarity and directness needed to prevent academic misconduct and does not adequately inform the student of the university's stance on exam security. The professional decision-making process in such situations should involve a clear understanding of the university's academic integrity policies and ethical codes. When faced with a request that could compromise these principles, a professional must first identify the ethical dilemma. The next step is to consult the relevant university regulations and guidelines. The decision should then be to uphold these regulations by refusing the unethical request, while simultaneously offering appropriate and legitimate support. This ensures that the integrity of the academic process is maintained and that students are guided towards ethical means of achieving their academic goals. Question 2. The evaluation methodology shows a commitment to a holistic review process for undergraduate admissions at Akhawayn University, emphasizing academic merit, extracurricular involvement, and personal essays. A committee member, reviewing applications, encounters a candidate with strong academic scores but a less compelling personal essay. Committee member also knows the applicant's family and is aware of their significant contributions to the university's alumni network. Considering the university's stated evaluation framework, Which of the following represents the most professionally sound approach to evaluating this application? Option A. Recommend immediate admission based on the family's influence and the strong academic scores, without a detailed review of the essay's qualitative aspects. Option B. Objectively assess the personal essay's content and coherence against the established criteria for essays, and weigh it alongside academic performance and extracurriculars, seeking clarification on any ambiguities in the essay if necessary. Option C. Focus primarily on the applicant's family connections, as this is a valuable asset for the university, and downplay the academic scores and essay. Option D. Prioritize the strong academic scores and the applicant's family connections, assuming the essay is a minor component and the connections will benefit the university. Correct answer is D. Prioritize the strong academic scores and the applicant's family connections, assuming the essay is a minor component and the connections will benefit the university. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the university's need for timely and accurate admissions data with the ethical obligation to ensure the integrity of the evaluation process. The admissions committee members are entrusted with a significant responsibility, and their judgment directly impacts the future of prospective students and the reputation of Akhawayn University. The challenge lies in interpreting and applying the established evaluation criteria fairly and consistently, especially when faced with potentially ambiguous or incomplete information. The correct approach involves a thorough and objective review of each applicant's profile against the defined criteria, seeking clarification when necessary and documenting all decisions. This upholds the principle of fairness and transparency in the admissions process, ensuring that all applicants are evaluated on their merits according to the established standards. This aligns with the implicit ethical guidelines of academic institutions, which prioritize meritocracy and equal opportunity. Furthermore, it supports the university's stated goals for admissions, as reflected in its evaluation methodology, by ensuring that the selected students genuinely meet the academic and personal qualities deemed important. An incorrect approach that relies on personal biases or external pressures would be professionally unacceptable. This could manifest as favoring applicants based on personal connections or perceived social status, rather than their academic achievements and potential. Such an approach violates the fundamental ethical principle of impartiality and undermines the credibility of the admissions process. It also fails to adhere to the university's stated evaluation methodology, which is designed to be objective. Another incorrect approach would be to rush the evaluation process to meet arbitrary deadlines, leading to superficial reviews and potential misjudgments. This compromises the quality of the admissions decisions and could result in admitting students who do not meet the university's standards or overlooking deserving candidates. This demonstrates a lack of professional diligence and a disregard for the importance of careful consideration in such a critical decision-making process. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Understanding and internalizing the established evaluation criteria and methodology. 2. Conducting a systematic and objective review of each applicant's submitted materials. 3. Actively seeking clarification or additional information when ambiguities arise, rather than making assumptions. 4. Documenting the rationale behind each admission decision, especially for borderline cases. 5. Consulting with other committee members or supervisors when faced with complex or contentious decisions. 6. Maintaining strict confidentiality and avoiding any conflicts of interest. Question 3. The evaluation methodology shows that the admissions committee is tasked with selecting candidates for Akhawayn University Ifrane. While academic performance is a key metric, the committee is also expected to build a cohort that reflects diverse backgrounds and experiences, contributing to a vibrant campus life. Considering the university's commitment to holistic development and equal opportunity, which of the following approaches best aligns with ethical and professional admissions practices? Option A. The establishment of specific numerical targets for demographic representation, prioritizing candidates who fulfill these quotas to achieve a predetermined diversity metric. Option B. Strict adherence to minimum GPA and standardized test score cutoffs, ensuring that only the highest scoring candidates are considered, regardless of other applicant attributes. Option C. A comprehensive review of each applicant's academic record, extracurricular activities, personal essays, letters of recommendation, and demonstrated potential for leadership and community engagement, alongside an assessment of their unique background and perspectives. Option D. A decision-making process heavily influenced by the subjective impressions of individual committee members during interviews, with less emphasis on documented evidence of academic or personal achievement. The correct answer is C. A comprehensive review of each applicant's academic record, extracurricular activities, personal essays, letters of recommendation, and demonstrated potential for leadership and community engagement, alongside an assessment of their unique background and perspectives. Explanation. The evaluation methodology shows a critical juncture where the university's admissions committee must balance academic merit with the broader mission of fostering a diverse and inclusive student body. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a nuanced understanding of fairness, equity, and the ethical considerations inherent in selection processes. The committee must avoid biases, both overt and unconscious, and ensure that their decisions are justifiable and transparent, aligning with the university's stated values and any applicable regulations regarding admissions. The correct approach involves a holistic review that considers a wide range of factors beyond standardized test scores and GPA. This includes evaluating the applicant's background, experiences, essays, recommendations, and any unique contributions they might bring to the university community. This approach is ethically sound and professionally responsible because it acknowledges that academic potential can manifest in diverse ways, and that a well-rounded student body enriches the learning environment for all. It aligns with principles of equal opportunity and aims to identify individuals who will not only succeed academically, but also contribute meaningfully to the university's culture and future endeavors. An approach that solely prioritizes standardized test scores and GPA, while seemingly objective, fails to account for the multifaceted nature of student potential and can inadvertently disadvantage applicants from less privileged backgrounds who may not have had access to the same preparatory resources. This can lead to a less diverse student body and may not accurately reflect the full capabilities of all candidates. Another incorrect approach would be to apply quotas or rigid demographic targets that could lead to the selection of less qualified candidates over more qualified ones, solely to meet a numerical goal. This undermines the principle of meritocracy and can be seen as discriminatory. A third incorrect approach might involve making decisions based on personal connections or subjective impressions without a clear, documented rationale tied to the applicant's suitability for the program and the university's mission. This lacks transparency and fairness. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Clearly defining the selection criteria in alignment with the university's mission and values. 2. Establishing a transparent and consistent evaluation process. 3. Training the admissions committee on unconscious bias and ethical considerations. 4. Utilizing a holistic review that considers a broad spectrum of applicant attributes. 5. Documenting the rationale for each admission decision. 6. Regularly reviewing and refining the evaluation methodology to ensure fairness and effectiveness. Question 4. When evaluating an applicant's potential risk to academic integrity and community standards at Akhawayn University Ifrane, which of the following approaches best reflects a responsible and ethically sound admissions process? Option A. An assessment based on broad generalizations about applicants from certain backgrounds or with specific demographic profiles, identifying them as inherently higher risk. Option B. A strict adherence to minimum academic score thresholds, with any applicant having a past disciplinary record, however minor or distant, being automatically disqualified. Option C. A primary focus on the applicant's social media presence to gauge their perceived risk, without considering the context or nature of their online activities. Option D. A comprehensive review of the applicant's academic record, extracurricular activities, personal essays, and any disclosed information regarding past conduct, assessing their understanding of ethical principles and their potential to contribute positively to the university environment. The correct answer is D. A comprehensive review of the applicant's academic record, extracurricular activities, personal essays, and any disclosed information regarding past conduct, assessing their understanding of ethical principles and their potential to contribute positively to the university environment. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of risk assessment principles in the context of university admissions, specifically for Akhawayn University Ifrane. The challenge lies in identifying the most appropriate and ethically sound approach to evaluating an applicant's potential risks to the university's academic integrity and community, without resorting to discriminatory or overly simplistic methods. Careful judgment is required to balance the need for a robust admissions process with fairness and equity. The correct approach involves a holistic and multifaceted assessment of an applicant's profile. This includes not only academic achievements, but also their demonstrated commitment to ethical conduct, their understanding of academic integrity, and their potential to contribute positively to the university community. This approach is right because it aligns with the principles of responsible admissions, which aim to select candidates who are academically capable and also possess the character and values that uphold the university's standards. It avoids prejudgment and focuses on observable behaviors and expressed intentions, which are more reliable indicators of future conduct than assumptions based on limited information. An approach that relies solely on past disciplinary records without considering context or mitigating factors is ethically flawed. It fails to acknowledge that individuals can learn from mistakes and grow. Furthermore, it may inadvertently penalize applicants for circumstances beyond their control or for minor infractions that do not reflect a fundamental disregard for academic integrity. An approach that prioritizes academic scores above all else, disregarding other aspects of an applicant's profile, is also problematic. While academic merit is crucial, it does not encompass the full spectrum of qualities that contribute to a successful and ethical university experience. This approach risks overlooking applicants who may have strong character and potential but face challenges that impacted their academic performance. An approach that focuses on perceived risk factors, without a clear, objective framework for assessment, can lead to bias and discrimination. It is essential that any risk assessment is grounded in established criteria and applied consistently to all applicants, ensuring fairness and preventing subjective interpretations from influencing the decision-making process. Professionals in admissions should employ a decision-making framework that begins with clearly defined admission criteria. This framework should include academic requirements, but also qualitative assessments of an applicant's character, ethical understanding, and potential for positive contribution. When evaluating potential risks, a structured approach that considers evidence, context, and mitigating factors is paramount. This involves looking for patterns of behavior, understanding the circumstances surrounding any disclosed issues, and assessing the applicant's demonstrated commitment to learning from past experiences and upholding ethical standards. The process should be transparent and applied equitably to all candidates. Question 5. The evaluation methodology shows that an applicant's submitted transcript from a previous institution appears to have a minor inconsistency in the grading scale compared to the standard scale typically used by that institution, as noted by an admissions officer. The admissions committee is tasked with determining the next step in processing this application. Option A. Proceed with evaluating the application based on the provided transcript, assuming the discrepancy is a minor clerical error that does not significantly impact the overall academic assessment. Option B. Flag the applicant's file for potential academic dishonesty and forward it to the university's disciplinary committee for review before any further admissions consideration. Option C. Immediately request a detailed explanation from the applicant regarding the grading scale discrepancy and any supporting documentation, while placing the application on hold pending their response. Option D. Contact the previous institution directly to inquire about the grading scale discrepancy without informing the applicant of this action. The correct answer is C. Immediately request a detailed explanation from the applicant regarding the grading scale discrepancy and any supporting documentation, while placing the application on hold pending their response. Explanation. The evaluation methodology shows a scenario where an applicant's academic record presents a potential discrepancy. This is professionally challenging because the admissions committee must balance the university's commitment to academic integrity and fairness with the need to provide a fair assessment to each applicant. Misinterpreting or mishandling such a situation could lead to either admitting an unqualified candidate or unfairly rejecting a deserving one, both of which have significant ethical and procedural implications for Akhawayn University. The core challenge lies in discerning intent and context behind the discrepancy without resorting to premature judgment. The correct approach involves a thorough, transparent, and fair investigation process. This means seeking clarification directly from the applicant, providing them with an opportunity to explain the discrepancy, and then evaluating their explanation against the available evidence and university policies. This upholds the principles of due process and fairness, ensuring that decisions are based on a complete understanding of the facts. It aligns with the ethical imperative to treat all applicants equitably and to maintain the integrity of the admissions process, which is a fundamental aspect of any academic institution's governance. An incorrect approach that involves immediately flagging the applicant for potential academic misconduct without prior inquiry fails to adhere to the principle of natural justice. It presumes guilt before an investigation, which is ethically unsound and procedurally flawed. This could lead to reputational damage for the university if the applicant is wrongly accused. Another incorrect approach, which is to overlook the discrepancy entirely without any attempt at clarification, compromises the university's commitment to academic standards and fairness to other applicants who have presented their records accurately. This could also set a precedent for leniency that undermines the rigor of the admissions process. A third incorrect approach, which is to make a decision based solely on the discrepancy without considering any mitigating factors or explanations provided by the applicant, demonstrates a lack of thoroughness and empathy, failing to acknowledge that errors or unique circumstances can occur. Professionals in admissions should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes information gathering, objective evaluation, and transparent communication. This involves 1. Identifying the discrepancy. 2. Initiating a neutral inquiry to the applicant for explanation. 3. Objectively assessing the provided explanation and any supporting documentation. 4. Consulting relevant university policies and guidelines. 5. Making a reasoned decision based on all gathered information. 6. Communicating the decision and its rationale clearly to the applicant. This systematic process ensures that decisions are defensible, ethical, and aligned with the university's mission and values. Question 6. Analysis of the Akhawayn University Ifrane entrance examination process reveals a potential challenge in ensuring academic integrity among applicants preparing for the assessment. Given the competitive nature of admissions, some applicants might be tempted to seek unauthorized assistance or use prohibited materials to gain an unfair advantage. Which of the following represents the most appropriate strategy for Akhawayn University Ifrane to address this challenge while upholding its commitment to academic honesty and fair evaluation? Option A. Implement a system of widespread, indiscriminate surveillance of all applicant communications during the preparation period, with immediate disqualification for any perceived anomaly. Option B. Proactively communicate the university's strict academic integrity policy, clearly defining prohibited actions and outlining the consequences of violations, while implementing robust examination proctoring and a fair, established procedure for investigating any suspected breaches. Option C. Assume that most applicants are honest and focus solely on the content of the exam, without explicitly addressing academic integrity or implementing specific preventative measures. Option D. Rely on self-reporting by applicants to identify instances of academic misconduct, without any active monitoring or verification by the university. The correct answer is B. Proactively communicate the university's strict academic integrity policy, clearly defining prohibited actions and outlining the consequences of violations, while implementing robust examination proctoring and a fair, established procedure for investigating any suspected breaches. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between a student's desire to present their best work and the university's commitment to academic integrity and fair assessment. The pressure to perform well in a university entrance exam, especially at a prestigious institution like Akhawayn University Ifrane, can lead some students to seek unauthorized assistance. The core of the challenge lies in upholding the principles of honesty and meritocracy while ensuring a fair evaluation process for all applicants. Careful judgment is required to identify and address potential breaches of academic integrity without unfairly penalizing genuine effort. The correct approach involves a proactive and transparent communication strategy. This entails clearly articulating the university's policy on academic integrity to all prospective students during the application and preparation phases. This policy should explicitly define what constitutes academic misconduct, including the impermissibility of external assistance during the exam. Furthermore, the examination process itself must be designed with safeguards to minimize opportunities for cheating, such as proctoring and varied question formats. When a suspected violation occurs, the university must have a defined, fair, and consistent procedure for investigation and adjudication, ensuring due process for the student. This approach aligns with the Akhawayn University, Ifrane's commitment to academic excellence and ethical conduct, as enshrined in its academic regulations and student code of conduct, which prioritize honesty and the integrity of the admissions process. An incorrect approach would be to ignore or downplay the possibility of academic misconduct. This failure to proactively address the issue creates an environment where cheating might be perceived as acceptable, undermining the fairness of the entrance exam. It violates the ethical obligation to ensure a level playing field for all applicants and contravenes the spirit of academic integrity that Akhawayn University Ifrane upholds. Another incorrect approach is to implement overly punitive measures without a proper investigation. This could involve immediate disqualification based on mere suspicion, without affording the student an opportunity to present their case or for the university to gather sufficient evidence. Such an approach risks violating principles of natural justice and could lead to unfair outcomes, damaging the university's reputation for fairness and due process. It fails to adhere to the established procedures for handling academic integrity violations, which typically require a thorough and impartial review. A third incorrect approach is to rely solely on technological surveillance without considering the human element or the potential for false positives. While technology can be a tool, it should not be the sole determinant of academic misconduct. Over-reliance on such methods can lead to misinterpretations and can create an atmosphere of distrust, which is counterproductive to fostering a positive learning environment. The university's policies, which are designed to uphold academic standards, also implicitly require a balanced approach that combines preventative measures with fair investigative procedures. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should begin with a thorough understanding of the university's academic integrity policies and procedures. This involves recognizing the importance of prevention through clear communication and robust examination design. When an issue arises, the process should involve gathering all relevant facts, consulting with appropriate university officials, e.g., Admissions Committee, Academic Integrity Office, and applying the established disciplinary procedures consistently and fairly. The ultimate goal is to uphold the integrity of the admissions process while ensuring that all applicants are treated equitably and with respect. Question 7. Process analysis reveals that an applicant to Akhawayn University demonstrates exceptional leadership potential and a strong commitment to community service, as evidenced by extensive extracurricular involvement and impactful projects. However, their standardized entrance exam scores fall slightly below the typical threshold for direct admission, attributed to significant family responsibilities that impacted their study time. The admissions committee must decide whether to admit this applicant. Which of the following approaches best reflects a professional and ethically sound decision-making process within the context of Akhawayn University's admission guidelines and broader mission? Option A. Recommend the applicant for a different program within the university that has lower admission standards, without fully exploring their suitability for the desired program. Option B. Offer admission based on the applicant's strong extracurricular profile, bypassing the need for a thorough assessment of their academic preparedness, even with the lower exam scores. Option C. Prioritize a holistic review of the applicant's profile, considering their extenuating circumstances and demonstrated potential for success and contribution to the university community, potentially through a conditional admission with clear support mechanisms. Option D. Reject the applicant outright based on the failure to meet the minimum standardized entrance exam score, adhering strictly to numerical cutoffs as the sole determinant of eligibility. Correct answer is C. Prioritize a holistic review of the applicant's profile, considering their extenuating circumstances and demonstrated potential for success and contribution to the university community, potentially through a conditional admission with clear support mechanisms. Explanation. The scenario presents a common challenge in university admissions where an applicant's profile may not perfectly align with standard criteria but possesses unique strengths. The professional challenge lies in balancing adherence to established admission policies with the university's broader mission to foster diversity and recognize potential beyond conventional metrics. Akhawayn University's entrance exam guidelines, as a Moroccan institution, would implicitly prioritize fairness, transparency, and the pursuit of academic excellence, while also considering the socio-economic and cultural context of its applicants. A decision must be made that is both defensible under the university's stated principles and ethically sound, avoiding arbitrary or biased judgment. The correct approach involves a holistic review that acknowledges the applicant's exceptional circumstances and potential contributions. This approach aligns with best practices in admissions by recognizing that standardized tests are not the sole determinant of future success. It requires a careful evaluation of the applicant's resilience, motivation, and the context of their academic achievements, considering any mitigating factors that may have affected their performance. This aligns with the spirit of Akhawayn University's commitment to providing educational opportunities and fostering a diverse student body, as implied by its mission, and the general principles of higher education admissions in Morocco, which often emphasize merit alongside broader societal contributions. An approach that solely focuses on the standardized test score, disregarding the applicant's extenuating circumstances, fails to uphold the principle of fairness and can lead to the exclusion of promising candidates. This would be ethically problematic as it overlooks the potential for growth and contribution that a more nuanced assessment might reveal. Another incorrect approach would be to grant an exception based on personal connections or undue influence, rather than on the merits of the applicant's profile and potential. This undermines the integrity of the admissions process and violates principles of equal opportunity and transparency, which are fundamental to any reputable academic institution. A third incorrect approach might be to offer a conditional admission without a clear and objective basis for the conditions, or without a robust plan to support the student in meeting those conditions. This can set the student up for failure and does not represent a responsible admissions decision. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured review that considers all available information, including academic records, personal statements, recommendation letters, and any contextual information provided by the applicant. It requires a commitment to fairness, a willingness to look beyond superficial metrics, and an understanding of the university's mission and values. When faced with borderline cases, a committee-based review often provides a more robust and equitable decision-making process, ensuring that multiple perspectives are considered. Question 8. Benchmark analysis indicates that during the Akhawayn University Ifrane entrance examination, a proctor observed a candidate appearing to consult notes concealed within their examination booklet. The proctor reported the incident to the chief invigilator. What is the most appropriate immediate course of action for the chief invigilator to ensure adherence to the university's examination regulations and ethical standards? Option A. Observe the candidate further to gather more definitive evidence of misconduct before taking any action. Option B. Immediately ask the candidate to leave the examination hall and report the incident to the admissions office for further action. Option C. Discreetly confiscate the examination booklet and inform the candidate that they are disqualified pending a review by the Academic Integrity Committee. Option D. Speak with other candidates in the vicinity to ascertain if they witnessed any suspicious activity from the candidate in question. The correct answer is C. Discreetly confiscate the examination booklet and inform the candidate that they are disqualified pending a review by the Academic Integrity Committee. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge rooted in the ethical imperative of academic integrity and the university's commitment to fair assessment. The challenge lies in balancing the need to uphold the integrity of the entrance examination process with the desire to provide a supportive environment for prospective students. A careful judgment is required to identify and address potential breaches of examination regulations without resorting to overly punitive measures that could discourage genuine applicants. The correct approach involves a thorough and impartial investigation into the alleged misconduct, adhering strictly to Akhawayn University's established examination policies and procedures. This approach prioritizes fairness, due process, and the principle of innocent until proven guilty. It requires gathering evidence, providing the accused student with an opportunity to respond, and making a decision based on the university's regulations. This upholds academic integrity by ensuring that all candidates are assessed on their own merit and that the examination process is perceived as fair and equitable by all applicants. Ethically, It aligns with principles of justice and transparency. An incorrect approach that involves immediate disqualification without a proper investigation fails to provide due process. This is a regulatory failure, as it bypasses the university's established procedures for handling academic misconduct. Ethically, it is unjust and can lead to the unfair penalization of a student. Another incorrect approach, which is to ignore the allegations due to the potential negative publicity, represents a significant ethical and regulatory failure. It undermines the university's commitment to academic standards and creates an environment where misconduct may go unaddressed, eroding trust in the examination process. This approach prioritizes expediency over integrity. A further incorrect approach, which is to consult with other students about the alleged misconduct before making a decision, violates principles of confidentiality and due process. It can lead to biased decision-making and further compromise the integrity of the investigation. This is both an ethical and a procedural failure. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Acknowledging the allegation and initiating a confidential preliminary review. 2. Consulting the relevant university policies and procedures for academic misconduct. 3. Gathering objective evidence. 4. Providing the accused student with a clear explanation of the allegations and an opportunity to present their case. 5. Making a decision based solely on the evidence and university regulations. 6. Communicating the decision and any consequences clearly and formally. Question 9. Research into the Akhawayn University Ifrane entrance examination process has revealed a situation where a candidate is suspected of having accessed unauthorized study materials during the examination. The examination proctor reported observing unusual behavior, and a subsequent review of the candidate's submitted work suggests a pattern of answers that are highly unlikely to have been derived from the provided examination context alone. The university's academic integrity policy clearly outlines procedures for handling such allegations. Which of the following represents the most appropriate course of action for the Akhawayn University Admissions Committee? Option A. Issue a warning to the candidate about future exam conduct and allow their application to proceed, assuming the observed patterns are a result of exceptional preparation rather than cheating. Option B. Initiate a formal investigation into the alleged misconduct, gathering all available evidence, and providing the candidate with a full opportunity to respond to the allegations in accordance with the university's academic integrity policy before making any decision. Option C. Overlook the alleged misconduct, considering the candidate's strong academic background and the university's need to meet its enrollment targets for the upcoming academic year. Option D. Immediately disqualify the candidate and deny admission based on the proctor's suspicion and the observed answer patterns, without further consultation with the candidate. The correct answer is D. Immediately disqualify the candidate and deny admission based on the proctor's suspicion and the observed answer patterns, without further consultation with the candidate. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between a student's desire for academic success and the university's commitment to academic integrity. Pressure to perform well on entrance exams can lead some students to seek unfair advantages. The university, in turn, has a responsibility to ensure a fair and equitable admissions process, upholding the value of its degrees. Careful judgment is required to identify and address potential breaches of academic integrity without unfairly penalizing students. The correct approach involves a thorough and impartial investigation of the alleged misconduct, adhering strictly to Akhawayn University's established academic integrity policies and procedures. This means gathering all relevant evidence, providing the student with an opportunity to respond to the allegations, and making a decision based solely on the university's regulations. This upholds the ethical principle of fairness and due process, ensuring that decisions are made based on established rules and evidence, not on assumptions or external pressures. It aligns with the university's commitment to maintaining academic standards and the integrity of its admissions process. An approach that immediately assumes guilt and imposes a severe penalty without investigation fails to uphold the principle of due process. It bypasses the university's established procedures for handling academic misconduct, which are designed to protect students from arbitrary decisions. This is a significant ethical and regulatory failure, as it denies the student their right to a fair hearing. Another incorrect approach, which involves dismissing the allegations due to the student's perceived potential or the desire to fill a quota, is also professionally unacceptable. This prioritizes expediency or institutional goals over academic integrity and fairness. It undermines the credibility of the admissions process and sends a message that rules can be bent for convenience, which is a direct violation of ethical conduct and university regulations. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. 1. Acknowledge the allegation and initiate a formal review process as per university policy. 2. Gather all pertinent information and evidence objectively. 3. Provide the accused student with clear notification of the allegations and an opportunity to present their case. 4. Evaluate the evidence and the student's response against the university's academic integrity policies. 5. Make a decision based solely on the findings and the established regulations, ensuring proportionality of any sanctions. 6. Document the entire process meticulously. Question 10. Risk assessment procedures indicate a potential for applicants to seek unauthorized advantages in the Akhawayn University Ifrane entrance exam. An applicant is considering how to best prepare. Which of the following actions best reflects an ethical and compliant approach to exam preparation? Option A. Engaging in online forums where individuals claim to have insider information about the specific questions that will appear on the upcoming exam. Option B. Discussing general study strategies and resource recommendations with current students or recent alumni of Akhawayn University. Option C. Obtaining and reviewing past exam papers that are officially released by the university for practice. Option D. Collaborating with other applicants to collectively answer practice questions from unofficial sources that are rumored to be similar to the actual exam. The correct answer is B. Discussing general study strategies and resource recommendations with current students or recent alumni of Akhawayn University. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of the foundational principles of academic integrity and ethical conduct expected of students at Akhawayn University. The challenge lies in discerning between acceptable and unacceptable practices when seeking assistance with entrance exam preparation, ensuring that the applicant's efforts are genuine and not a form of academic dishonesty. Careful judgment is required to navigate the fine line between legitimate study aids and prohibited forms of collaboration or unauthorized assistance. The correct approach involves seeking clarification directly from the university regarding acceptable preparation methods. This demonstrates a proactive commitment to understanding and adhering to Akhawayn University's academic regulations and ethical standards. By directly engaging with the institution, the applicant signals their respect for the examination process and their intention to comply with its rules. This aligns with the university's overarching goal of fostering an environment of academic honesty and integrity, which is a core tenet of its educational mission. An incorrect approach would be to engage in discussions about specific exam content or strategies with individuals who have recently taken the exam or have insider knowledge. This constitutes a breach of academic integrity, as it implies seeking or sharing confidential information about the examination. Such actions undermine the fairness and validity of the entrance exam, creating an uneven playing field for all applicants and violating the principles of merit-based admission. Another incorrect approach would be to utilize unauthorized study materials that are purported to contain actual exam questions or answers. This is a direct violation of academic honesty policies. Relying on such materials not only constitutes cheating, but also fails to genuinely assess the applicant's knowledge and abilities, which is the purpose of the entrance exam. It also exposes the applicant to potential disciplinary action by the university. A professional decision-making process for similar situations should begin with a thorough understanding of the institution's stated rules and guidelines regarding admissions and academic conduct. When in doubt, the most ethical and prudent course of action is to seek direct clarification from the relevant university department. This proactive communication ensures that the applicant is acting in good faith and avoids any misinterpretations that could lead to academic misconduct. Prioritizing transparency and adherence to established regulations is paramount in maintaining academic integrity. Question 11. Comparative studies suggest that when evaluating the potential risks associated with the design and administration of a university entrance examination, such as the Akhawayn University Ifrane entrance exam, which of the following approaches best aligns with the principles of academic integrity and fairness? Option A. A comprehensive assessment that identifies and analyzes potential risks to the exam's validity, reliability, fairness, and security, considering all stages from question development to result reporting. Option B. An evaluation that prioritizes the prevention of any form of academic dishonesty, even if it means implementing overly restrictive measures that could negatively impact the candidate experience. Option C. A primary focus on minimizing the financial expenditure associated with creating and administering the examination, as cost efficiency is the most significant indicator of a well-managed process. Option D. A review based on informal feedback from a limited number of recent graduates regarding their perceived challenges during their own entrance exams. The correct answer is A. A comprehensive assessment that identifies and analyzes potential risks to the exam's validity, reliability, fairness, and security, considering all stages from question development to result reporting. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of how to approach risk assessment in an academic context, specifically for a university entrance exam. The challenge lies in identifying the most appropriate and ethically sound method for evaluating potential risks associated with the exam's design and administration, aligning with the principles of fairness and academic integrity. Careful judgment is required to distinguish between superficial or irrelevant risk considerations and those that are genuinely pertinent to the quality and validity of the entrance examination process. The correct approach involves a systematic and comprehensive evaluation of potential risks that could impact the fairness, validity, and reliability of the Akhawayn University entrance exam. This includes considering factors such as the clarity of the exam content, the security of the testing environment, the impartiality of the grading process, and the accessibility of the exam for all qualified candidates. This approach is ethically justified as it prioritizes the integrity of the admissions process and ensures that all applicants are assessed on a level playing field, in accordance with principles of fairness and equal opportunity. It also aligns with the university's responsibility to maintain high academic standards and to select candidates who are best suited for its programs. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the financial cost of developing the exam fails to address the core purpose of risk assessment in an academic admissions context. This approach is ethically flawed because it prioritizes economic considerations over the fundamental principles of fairness and academic merit. Another incorrect approach that concentrates only on the potential for cheating without considering other critical risk factors presents an incomplete and unbalanced assessment. This is problematic as it neglects other significant risks that could compromise the exam's integrity, such as poorly formulated questions or administrative errors. A third incorrect approach that emphasizes the subjective perception of difficulty by a small group of students overlooks the need for objective and systematic risk identification. This is ethically unsound as it relies on anecdotal evidence rather than a structured analysis, potentially leading to biased decisions and undermining the credibility of the assessment process. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that begins with clearly defining the objectives of the risk assessment. This involves identifying the specific context, university entrance exam, and the desired outcomes, fair, valid, and reliable assessment. Subsequently, potential risks should be systematically identified across all relevant areas, including content, administration, scoring, and candidate experience. Each identified risk should then be analyzed for its likelihood and potential impact. Finally, appropriate mitigation strategies should be developed and implemented, with ongoing monitoring and review to ensure effectiveness. This structured approach ensures that all critical aspects are considered, leading to a robust and defensible risk management plan. Question 12. Compliance review shows that the Akhawayn University Ifrane entrance exam process has experienced minor delays in candidate verification and material distribution in previous years, impacting the overall start time of the examination. To address this, proposal has been put forward to streamline the verification process by reducing the number of cross-checks and to prepackage all examination materials without individual applicant verification at the distribution point. Which of the following approaches best aligns with the principles of process optimization for a university entrance examination? Option A. Implement a phased rollout of revised verification procedures, accompanied by enhanced digital tracking of material distribution and a pilot test of the pre-packaging system with a small, controlled group of mock candidates to identify any unforeseen issues before full implementation. Option B. Immediately implement the proposed changes to reduce verification steps and prepackage all materials to ensure a prompt start to the examination for all candidates. Option C. Focus solely on improving the speed of material distribution by hiring additional temporary staff, without altering the existing verification protocols. Option D. Delegate the entire process optimization task to an external consulting firm, without direct oversight from the university's admissions committee. The correct answer is A. Implement a phased rollout of revised verification procedures, accompanied by enhanced digital tracking of material distribution, and a pilot test of the pre-packaging system with a small, controlled group of mock candidates to identify any unforeseen issues before full implementation. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the university's commitment to academic integrity with the practicalities of managing a high-stakes entrance examination. The pressure to ensure a fair and secure process, while also optimizing efficiency, can lead to ethical dilemmas if not handled with strict adherence to established protocols. The core of the challenge lies in preventing any compromise of the examination's validity or the fairness to all applicants. The correct approach involves a systematic and documented review of all examination procedures, focusing on identifying bottlenecks and potential security vulnerabilities. This approach is ethically sound and professionally responsible, as it prioritizes the integrity of the Akhawayn University Ifrane entrance exam. By proactively seeking to improve processes, the university demonstrates its commitment to fairness and the credibility of its admissions. This aligns with the ethical obligation to uphold the standards of academic institutions and ensure that all candidates are assessed on a level playing field. The regulatory framework for university admissions, while not explicitly detailed here, implicitly mandates fairness, transparency, and the prevention of irregularities. A process optimization that enhances security and efficiency without compromising these core principles is therefore the most appropriate. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on speed without considering security implications would be professionally unacceptable. This would violate the implicit regulatory requirement for a secure and fair examination process, potentially leading to accusations of bias or compromised results. Prioritizing cost reduction over thoroughness in security checks would also be a failure, as it could introduce vulnerabilities that undermine the entire examination's validity. Furthermore, an approach that bypasses established university policies and procedures for review and approval would be a direct breach of internal governance and potentially external regulatory oversight, risking reputational damage and invalidation of the examination outcomes. Professionals tasked with managing such examination should employ a decision-making framework that begins with a clear understanding of the overarching goals: academic integrity, fairness, and efficiency. This involves a risk-based assessment of current processes, identifying areas for improvement while rigorously evaluating the potential impact of any changes on security and fairness. Consultation with relevant stakeholders, adherence to established university policies, and a commitment to documentation are crucial steps in ensuring that any process optimization is both effective and ethically defensible. Question 13. Regulatory review indicates that Akhawayn University's admission process emphasizes academic merit, personal integrity, and a commitment to its values. An applicant's family, influential in the region, has expressed a strong desire for their child to attend Akhawayn and has offered to provide significant financial support to the university and to ensure the applicant's admission through their connections. Which of the following approaches best aligns with the university's stated admission principles and ethical guidelines? Option A. Prioritize the applicant's admission due to the family's influential position and their offer of substantial financial contribution, as this could benefit the university's development. Option B. Acknowledge the family's interest and support, but clearly communicate that admission is solely based on the applicant's academic record, extracurricular achievements, and performance in the entrance examination, ensuring all application materials are the applicant's own work. Option C. Focus on the potential future contributions the applicant, through their family's influence, could make to the university and the wider community, using this as a primary factor in the admission decision. Option D. Advise the family on how to best present the applicant's profile, including subtly suggesting areas where achievements could be enhanced or framed more favorably to maximize their chances of admission. The correct answer is B. Acknowledge the family's interest and support, but clearly communicate that admission is solely based on the applicant's academic record, extracurricular achievements, and performance in the entrance examination, ensuring all application materials are the applicant's own work. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires an applicant to demonstrate an understanding of the core principles and ethical considerations relevant to university admissions, specifically within the context of Akhawayn University's stated values and admission policies. The challenge lies in identifying the approach that best aligns with fairness, transparency, and the university's commitment to admitting qualified candidates, while also respecting the privacy and integrity of the application process. Careful judgment is required to distinguish between legitimate support and undue influence. The correct approach involves a balanced consideration of the applicant's qualifications and the role of external support. It prioritizes the applicant's own merit and effort, acknowledging that while guidance is acceptable, the final submission must be the applicant's own work and reflect their genuine abilities. This approach is ethically sound and aligns with the principles of academic integrity and fair assessment, which are fundamental to any reputable educational institution like Akhawayn University. It upholds the university's commitment to admitting students based on their potential and achievements, rather than external pressures or fabricated credentials. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the applicant's family connections or perceived future benefits to the university fails to uphold the principle of merit-based admissions. It risks compromising the integrity of the selection process by prioritizing external factors over the applicant's qualifications. This approach is ethically flawed as it suggests a deviation from fair and objective evaluation. Another incorrect approach that involves fabricating or exaggerating the applicant's achievements or experiences is fundamentally dishonest. This not only violates ethical standards, but also undermines the credibility of the application and the university's admission process. It creates a false impression of the applicant's capabilities, which can lead to academic difficulties later on and damage the reputation of both the applicant and the institution. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a thorough review of the applicant's submitted materials, an assessment of their qualifications against the university's admission criteria, and a consideration of any provided support in the context of academic integrity. Professionals should always prioritize fairness, transparency, and the applicant's genuine merit. They must be vigilant against any attempts to unduly influence the process or misrepresent an applicant's profile. The ultimate goal is to ensure that admitted students are well suited for the academic rigor and environment of Akhawayn University. Question 14. Consider a scenario where an admissions officer at Akhawayn University Ifrane is reviewing applications for the upcoming academic year. The officer discovers that one of the applicants is a close relative. The officer is committed to upholding the integrity of the admissions process and ensuring fair evaluation for all candidates. What is the most appropriate course of action for the admissions officer? Option A. The admissions officer should privately review the application of their relative, believing they can remain objective and provide a fair assessment without any external influence. Option B. The admissions officer should casually discuss the relative's application with other committee members during breaks, seeking their informal opinions to help guide their own decision. Option C. The admissions officer should recuse themselves from the entire admissions committee for the duration of the application review period, without informing anyone of the specific reason for their recusal. Option D. The admissions officer should immediately disclose the familial relationship to the admissions committee chair and follow the university's established protocol for handling conflicts of interest, which may involve recusal from reviewing that specific application or having another committee member review it. The correct answer is D. The admissions officer should immediately disclose the familial relationship to the admissions committee chair and follow the university's established protocol for handling conflicts of interest, which may involve recusal from reviewing that specific application or having another committee member review it. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the university's need for accurate admissions data with the ethical obligation to ensure fairness and prevent undue influence on the admissions process. The admissions committee must navigate potential conflicts of interest and maintain the integrity of the evaluation process. Careful judgment is required to uphold the university's standards and its commitment to merit-based admissions. The correct approach involves a structured and transparent process for handling potential conflicts of interest, ensuring that all applications are evaluated objectively. This aligns with the principles of academic integrity and fair assessment, which are fundamental to any reputable educational institution. Specifically, it adheres to the implicit regulatory framework governing university admissions, which emphasizes impartiality and the avoidance of bias. The university's internal policies and ethical guidelines, which are designed to uphold these principles, would mandate such a process. An approach that involves the admissions officer directly reviewing the application of their relative, even with the intention of being objective, creates an inherent risk of unconscious bias. This violates the ethical principle of impartiality and could be seen as a failure to adhere to the university's internal conflict of interest policies, which are designed to prevent even the appearance of impropriety. Another incorrect approach, which is to recuse oneself from the entire admissions committee without disclosing the relationship, is also problematic. While it avoids direct involvement, it fails to inform the committee of a potential conflict, thereby preventing the committee from implementing appropriate safeguards or reassigning the application to a different reviewer. This lack of transparency can undermine the committee's overall confidence in the process and potentially lead to a situation where a conflict is not properly managed. A third incorrect approach, which is to discuss the relative's application with other committee members in a casual, non-formal manner, is unprofessional and ethically unsound. This bypasses the established procedures for conflict resolution and could lead to informal pressure or bias influencing the decision-making process, compromising the integrity of the admissions outcome. The professional decision-making process for similar situations involves 1. Identifying potential conflicts of interest. 2. Consulting university policies and ethical guidelines regarding conflicts of interest. 3. Disclosing the conflict to the appropriate authority or committee. 4. Following established procedures for recusal or reassignment of the application. 5. Ensuring transparency and documentation of the process. Question 15. The performance metrics show a statistically significant deviation in the average scores of candidates taking the Akhawayn University Ifrane entrance exam compared to previous years, with a notable cluster of unusually low scores. What is the most appropriate initial step for the admissions committee to take? Option A. Maintain the current admission targets and adjust the passing score downwards to accommodate the observed performance trend. Option B. Rely on faculty members' qualitative feedback regarding student preparedness to make ad hoc adjustments to admission criteria. Option C. Initiate a comprehensive review of the exam's content, administration, and scoring procedures to identify potential systemic issues or anomalies. Option D. Immediately invalidate the exam results for the current cohort and reschedule a new examination to ensure fairness. Correct answer is C. Initiate a comprehensive review of the exam's content, administration, and scoring procedures to identify potential systemic issues or anomalies. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the university's stated commitment to academic integrity with the practical realities of student performance and the potential for external pressures. The entrance exam is a critical gatekeeper, and ensuring its fairness and validity is paramount to maintaining the university's reputation and the quality of its student body. The challenge lies in interpreting performance data objectively, without succumbing to biases or external influences that could compromise the integrity of the admissions process. The correct approach involves a thorough, data-driven review of the performance metrics, focusing on identifying any anomalies or patterns that might indicate systemic issues with the exam itself or the administration of it. This approach prioritizes objective evidence and a commitment to upholding the established standards of the Akhawayn University Ifrane entrance exam. It aligns with the ethical obligation to ensure a fair and equitable admissions process for all prospective students, and the regulatory framework of the university, which implicitly mandates the validity and reliability of its assessment tools. By investigating potential issues systematically, the university demonstrates its commitment to continuous improvement and the integrity of its selection criteria. An incorrect approach that relies solely on anecdotal evidence or personal opinions from faculty members, without a systematic review of the performance metrics, fails to uphold the principle of objective assessment. This could lead to biased decisions that unfairly disadvantage certain candidates or overlook genuine problems with the exam. It also risks violating the university's internal guidelines for admissions, which would likely emphasize data-driven decision-making. Another incorrect approach that focuses on immediate, drastic measures, like invalidating the entire exam based on a few outlier results, without proper investigation, demonstrates a lack of due diligence. This would be an overreaction that could undermine the efforts of many students who performed well and potentially lead to unnecessary administrative burdens and reputational damage. It fails to adhere to a reasoned, evidence-based decision-making process. A third incorrect approach that prioritizes maintaining current admission targets at all costs, even if the performance metrics suggest a decline in the quality of the applicant pool or issues with the exam, is ethically unsound. This prioritizes institutional goals over the fundamental principle of admitting qualified students and upholding academic standards. It could lead to a dilution of academic rigor and a failure to meet the university's educational mission. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. 1. Acknowledge and document the observed performance metrics. 2. Initiate a formal review process involving relevant stakeholders, e.g., admissions committee, academic departments. 3. Gather and analyze all relevant data, including statistical performance data, qualitative feedback, and any contextual information. 4. Identify potential causes for any observed deviations from expected performance. 5. Develop and evaluate potential solutions or interventions based on the evidence. 6. Implement the chosen solution with clear communication and follow-up. 7. Continuously monitor the impact of any changes made. Question 16. The investigation demonstrates that an applicant for Akhawayn University's entrance exam has inquired about how to best structure their personal essay to ensure it reflects their strengths, hinting at a desire for guidance beyond general instructions. The admissions officer must respond ethically and in accordance with university regulations. Which of the following actions best upholds academic integrity and university policy? Option A. Provide the applicant with a detailed breakdown of essay components and common themes, emphasizing the importance of original thought and personal reflection without offering specific content suggestions. Option B. Share examples of successful past applicant essays to illustrate effective writing styles and content. Option C. Advise the applicant to seek assistance from a professional writing service to refine their essay. Option D. Offer to review the applicant's draft essay to provide feedback on structure and clarity, ensuring it aligns with the university's expectations. The correct answer is A. Provide the applicant with a detailed breakdown of essay components and common themes, emphasizing the importance of original thought and personal reflection without offering specific content suggestions. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between a student's desire to present their best work and the university's commitment to academic integrity. The entrance exam is designed to assess a candidate's genuine understanding and abilities. Any attempt to circumvent this process, even if perceived as minor or helpful, undermines the fairness of the evaluation for all applicants and the credibility of the admissions process at Akhawayn University. Careful judgment is required to uphold ethical standards while acknowledging the pressures students may face. The correct approach involves directly addressing the student's request by explaining the university's policy on academic integrity and the importance of submitting original work. This upholds the ethical principle of honesty and fairness, which is paramount in academic settings. Specifically, Akhawayn University's academic regulations, as outlined in its student handbook and admissions guidelines, strictly prohibit plagiarism and any form of academic dishonesty. By clearly communicating these expectations and the consequences of violations, the admissions officer acts in accordance with these regulations and promotes a culture of integrity. An incorrect approach would be to provide the student with specific examples or templates of acceptable essay structures or content. This action, while seemingly helpful, crosses the line into providing direct assistance that could unduly influence the student's original work and create an unfair advantage. This violates the spirit and letter of academic integrity policies, which demand that all submitted work be the sole creation of the applicant. It also risks compromising the validity of the entrance exam as a measure of individual merit. Another incorrect approach would be to ignore the student's request and proceed without comment. This passive stance fails to address a potential ethical breach proactively. It neglects the responsibility of the admissions officer to guide applicants on ethical conduct and could be interpreted as tacit approval of potentially dishonest practices. This inaction undermines the university's commitment to fostering an ethical academic environment from the outset. Finally, an incorrect approach would be to offer to review and edit the student's essay for clarity and grammar. While seemingly innocuous, this level of direct involvement in the student's writing process can blur the lines of originality. It risks inadvertently shaping the student's arguments or expression in a way that is no longer entirely their own, thereby compromising the authenticity of their submission and violating the principles of independent work. The professional decision-making process in such situations should involve a clear understanding of the university's academic integrity policies. When faced with a request that raises ethical concerns, the professional should 1. Identify the core ethical principle at stake, e.g., honesty, fairness, integrity. 2. Consult relevant university policies and guidelines. 3. Communicate clearly and directly with the individual involved, explaining the policy and its rationale. 4. Offer guidance on ethical conduct without providing direct assistance that could compromise the integrity of the process. 5. Document the interaction and any decisions made. Question 17. The analysis reveals that a prospective student applying to Akhawayn University has a strong personal statement and compelling reasons for their academic performance in a particular year, which was significantly lower than their performance in other years. However, their overall GPA, while meeting the minimum threshold, is not as competitive as many other applicants. The admissions committee is deliberating on whether to grant admission. Option A. Offer conditional admission contingent on the applicant achieving a significantly higher score on a standardized test administered by the university, without fully considering the previously provided extenuating circumstances. Option B. Admit the applicant immediately based on the strength of their personal statement and the compelling nature of their circumstances, without a detailed assessment of their academic preparedness. Option C. Conduct a thorough review of the applicant's entire academic history, paying close attention to the extenuating circumstances provided, and assess their potential for academic success at Akhawayn University based on a holistic evaluation. Option D. Reject the applicant outright due to their GPA not being among the highest, prioritizing only quantitative academic metrics. The correct answer is C. Conduct a thorough review of the applicant's entire academic history, paying close attention to the extenuating circumstances provided, and assess their potential for academic success at Akhawayn University based on a holistic evaluation. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires balancing the university's commitment to academic integrity with the personal circumstances of a prospective student. The admissions committee must uphold the rigorous standards expected of Akhawayn University, while also demonstrating fairness and understanding. The decision-making process is complicated by the potential for both leniency and the compromise of academic standards. The correct approach involves a thorough and objective review of the applicant's academic record, considering the extenuating circumstances presented. This approach aligns with the ethical principles of fairness and due process, ensuring that all applicants are evaluated consistently and that decisions are based on merit and relevant information. It also respects the university's responsibility to maintain its academic reputation by admitting students who are academically prepared. The justification lies in adhering to the Akhawayn University's stated admissions policies, which typically emphasize academic achievement while allowing for consideration of exceptional circumstances. This balanced approach ensures that the university's standards are upheld without being unduly rigid. An incorrect approach would be to immediately reject the applicant based solely on the initial academic performance without further investigation. This fails to acknowledge the university's ethical obligation to consider all relevant factors and could lead to an unfair outcome. It also overlooks the potential for a student to demonstrate resilience and future academic success despite past challenges. Another incorrect approach would be to grant admission without a proper assessment of the applicant's preparedness, potentially admitting a student who may struggle to meet the university's academic demands. This would undermine the university's commitment to academic excellence and could lead to negative outcomes for both the student and the institution. A third incorrect approach would be to grant admission based on personal sympathy rather than objective academic criteria, which compromises the integrity of the admissions process and sets a precedent for inconsistent decision-making. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a systematic evaluation of all available information. This includes reviewing the applicant's academic transcripts, understanding the nature and impact of any extenuating circumstances, and assessing the applicant's potential for success at the university. It is crucial to consult relevant university policies and guidelines, and if necessary, seek input from other members of the admissions committee to ensure a fair and consistent decision. The focus should always be on making an informed judgment that upholds both ethical principles and institutional standards. Question 18. The control framework reveals that Akhawayn University's entrance exam is designed to assess an applicant's genuine academic aptitude and potential. Considering the university's commitment to academic integrity, which approach best aligns with the ethical and regulatory expectations for applicants during the examination process. Option A. Presenting one's qualifications and abilities truthfully and accurately, without embellishment or misrepresentation. Option B. Seeking subtle, unauthorized hints from peers during the examination to clarify difficult questions. Option C. Strategically highlighting past achievements that may be slightly exaggerated to create a more compelling application. Option D. Focusing solely on memorizing specific answers to anticipated questions without understanding the underlying concepts. The correct answer is A. Presenting one's qualifications and abilities truthfully and accurately, without embellishment or misrepresentation. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires an applicant to navigate the ethical considerations and regulatory expectations inherent in university admissions, specifically within the context of Akhawayn University's stated values and entrance exam guidelines. The applicant must balance the desire to present themselves favorably with the obligation to be truthful and adhere to the integrity of the examination process. Careful judgment is required to avoid misrepresenting their qualifications or engaging in any form of academic dishonesty, which would violate the principles of fair assessment and the university's commitment to academic integrity. The correct approach involves the applicant honestly and accurately reflecting their abilities and experiences in their application and during the entrance exam. This aligns with the fundamental ethical principle of honesty and integrity, which is paramount in academic and professional settings. Specifically, it adheres to the implied regulatory framework of university entrance exams, which are designed to assess genuine merit and potential. By presenting themselves truthfully, the applicant upholds the spirit of fair competition and demonstrates the character Akhawayn University seeks in its students. This approach respects the established guidelines for the entrance exam, which implicitly demand authenticity. An incorrect approach that involves exaggerating achievements or fabricating experiences would be a direct violation of academic integrity. This undermines the fairness of the admissions process and misrepresents the applicant's true capabilities, potentially leading to their enrollment in a program for which they are not adequately prepared. Such actions would also contravene the ethical obligation to be truthful in all dealings, especially in a formal application process. Another incorrect approach, such as attempting to gain an unfair advantage by seeking unauthorized assistance during the exam, constitutes academic misconduct. This directly violates the rules and regulations governing examinations, which are designed to ensure a level playing field for all candidates. This behavior demonstrates a lack of integrity and respect for the established assessment procedures and would likely result in disqualification and a negative reflection on the applicant's character. Professionals in similar situations should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes honesty, integrity, and adherence to established rules and ethical guidelines. This involves a clear understanding of the expectations of the institution or organization, a commitment to truthful representation, and a proactive effort to avoid any actions that could be construed as dishonest or unfair. When faced with a decision, professionals should ask themselves if their chosen course of action is transparent, fair to all parties involved, and aligns with the core values and regulations governing their field. Question 19. To address the challenge of selecting qualified candidates for Akhawayn University Ifrane's undergraduate programs, an admissions committee is reviewing applications. One applicant has a slightly lower GPA than the stated minimum, but presents a compelling personal essay and strong extracurricular leadership roles. Another applicant meets all stated academic thresholds, but has a less distinctive personal statement and fewer extracurricular activities. Which approach best upholds the university's commitment to fair and merit-based admissions? Option A. Focus on the applicant with the lower GPA and strong essay, believing that personal qualities and demonstrated leadership are more indicative of future success at the university than a precise GPA. Option B. Evaluate both applicants holistically, considering their academic records, essays, extracurriculars, and any supporting recommendations, against the overall spirit and stated criteria of the university's admissions policy. Option C. Prioritize the applicant with the lower GPA but strong essay and extracurriculars, as their potential for growth and unique contributions outweighs a minor academic shortfall. Option D. Admit the applicant who strictly meets all stated academic criteria, as adherence to quantitative measures ensures objectivity and consistency in the selection process. The correct answer is C. Prioritize the applicant with the lower GPA but strong essay and extracurriculars, as their potential for growth and unique contributions outweighs a minor academic shortfall. Explanation: the scenario presents a common challenge for university admissions committees, balancing the desire to admit promising candidates with the need to adhere to established academic and ethical standards. The challenge lies in interpreting and applying the university's stated admission criteria in a way that is fair, consistent, and upholds the integrity of the selection process. Admissions officers must exercise careful judgment to avoid bias, ensure equitable treatment of all applicants, and maintain public trust in the university's academic reputation. The correct approach involves a thorough and objective evaluation of each applicant's academic record, extracurricular achievements, and personal statements against the published admission criteria. This method ensures that decisions are based on merit and suitability for the Akhawayn University, Ifrane's academic programs. The justification for this approach is rooted in the principles of fairness and transparency, which are fundamental to any reputable educational institution's admissions policy. Adherence to these published criteria ensures that all applicants are judged by the same standards, promoting equity and preventing arbitrary or discriminatory decision-making. This aligns with the ethical obligation to maintain a meritocratic system. An incorrect approach that relies solely on the applicant's perceived potential without concrete evidence from their academic history or application materials is problematic. This fails to adhere to the established, objective criteria and opens the door to subjective bias, potentially disadvantaging equally or more qualified candidates, violates the principle of transparency and fairness by not applying consistent standards. Another incorrect approach that prioritizes personal connections or recommendations over the stated academic qualifications is also professionally unacceptable. This undermines the integrity of the admissions process by introducing external factors that are not part of the defined selection criteria. It creates an unfair advantage for some applicants and can lead to the admission of students who may not be academically prepared, ultimately impacting the university's academic standards and reputation. This approach is ethically unsound as it deviates from the commitment to merit-based selection. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a systematic review of all application components against the predefined admission rubric. When faced with borderline cases, committees should engage in collaborative discussion, referencing specific evidence from the application to support their evaluations. If ambiguity exists in the criteria, the committee should seek clarification from the relevant university authorities to ensure consistent interpretation. The ultimate goal is to make informed decisions that are both academically sound and ethically defensible, upholding the university's commitment to excellence and equal opportunity. Question 20. The review process indicates that an applicant for Akhawayn University has a strong extracurricular profile and compelling personal essays, but their academic transcripts show a significant dip in grades during their final 2 years of high school, with no clear explanation provided. The admissions committee member feels a strong inclination to advocate for this applicant, believing their potential outweighs their academic shortcomings. What is the most ethically and procedurally sound approach for the admissions committee member to take? Option A. Suggest admitting the applicant on a probationary basis, contingent on achieving a certain GPA in their first semester to mitigate the risk posed by their academic record. Option B. Inform the applicant that their academic record is likely too weak for admission and suggest they consider other institutions without further discussion within the committee. Option C. Advocate for the applicant's admission by emphasizing their strong non-academic achievements and personal qualities, suggesting that the academic dip can be overcome with university support. Option D. Recommend a thorough review of the applicant's entire file, including seeking additional information or context for the academic dip if possible, and then making a recommendation based on a holistic assessment against Akhawayn University's stated admission criteria. The correct answer is C. Advocate for the applicant's admission by emphasizing their strong non-academic achievements and personal qualities, suggesting that the academic dip can be overcome with university support. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent conflict between academic integrity and the desire to support a student's potential. The admissions committee must balance the university's commitment to fair and objective evaluation with the specific context of a candidate's background and the potential impact of their application. The decision requires careful judgment to uphold the university's standards while considering all relevant factors ethically and within the established guidelines. The correct approach involves a thorough and objective review of the applicant's entire profile, including their academic record, extracurricular activities, and any provided context for their performance. This approach is ethically sound and aligns with the principles of fair assessment. Specifically, it adheres to the Akhawayn University's commitment to merit-based admissions and its stated guidelines for evaluating applicants, which emphasize a holistic review. This ensures that all candidates are judged against consistent criteria, preventing bias and promoting equal opportunity. An incorrect approach would be to allow personal biases or a desire to give a chance to override the established evaluation criteria. For instance, overlooking significant academic deficiencies solely based on a compelling personal narrative or the applicant's perceived potential, without a clear justification within the university's stated admission policies, would be an ethical failure. This undermines the integrity of the admissions process and could lead to admitting students who are not adequately prepared for the academic rigor of Akhawayn University. Another incorrect approach would be to prematurely dismiss the application based on a single negative aspect without a comprehensive review, failing to consider the applicant's strengths or mitigating circumstances as outlined in the university's guidelines. This demonstrates a lack of due diligence and fairness. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve 1. Understanding and strictly adhering to the Akhawayn University's admission policies and ethical guidelines. 2. Conducting a comprehensive and objective review of all submitted materials, giving due weight to each component as per the university's stated criteria. 3. Identifying any potential biases and actively working to mitigate them. 4. Seeking clarification or consultation with senior members of the admissions committee or relevant university officials if faced with ambiguity or a particularly complex case. 5. Documenting the decision-making process thoroughly, including the rationale behind the final recommendation.